Welcome back. Episode 3, 2 dumbbells and a microphone. I'm DJ Moore.
I'm Joey Dussel.
Awesome. Now it's my turn.
That's right.
We did episode A. That was me, number 1 health advice. And now I'm going to ask my friend Joey.
Yeah, here we go, right? So
Let me ask you.
one question for both of us. First half, the second half now. Here we go.
Number 1 piece of health advice. Now, you spoke about it a little earlier to me, so I got a little bit of understanding. But again, this is all unrehearsed. This is something that, you have thought about.
Right.
I really don't know if I want to add any questions, but I will if I find something I need to question. Are you okay with that?
Let's do it. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Well, so like we mentioned a little bit on the first half of this, when we put this question on our list, we thought about saying, hey, what's the number 1 piece of health and fitness advice that we would share? And this was kind of inspired by the actual questions we get from clients, but also a little bit what we wanted to say. Like if we got to tell them what to care about, what answer would we provide? And it's a big question. I think it touches a little bit on the philosophy of a trainer, what he or she is about. And also it really says something, if you put a lot of time and thought into coming up with an answer. So a little bit of self-exploration along with it.
There's not a right or wrong answer to this.
Agreed. Yeah.
This is something that you have thought about is really important. Mm-hmm. And it comes from your heart. It comes from not just that, but your knowledge and the years of time you've put into this, right?
Right.
Which is not just, last year. You put a lot of work into this. I know you very well. You're highly intelligent, so you put a lot of thought into this. So give it to me, man. What is your number one? Mine. I don't want you to make mine sound dumb, though, man. No, I'm kidding. See, no wrong or right.
Yeah.
No wrong or right.
Yeah.
Number 1.
No, that's the fantastic nature of this. I thought about this question a lot because I thought it's genuinely interesting. We want to know what people care about. Yeah. And as I thought about it, I kind of used a couple of guiding principles, like the universality of this advice that I give. Is it going to work for everyone? Gymnast, weightlifter, a runner? Mom? Does it apply to nutrition? What about different types of people or different levels of goals? What's going to work for everyone? And
you're going to answer a question that covers the entire spectrum of humanity?
Well, I was thinking about it. I went on this spiral, kind of like a tornado, real tight down close to the ground. And then as it works its way up into the clouds, that circle is a lot bigger and a lot higher up. And so as I thought about it more and more, I kind of tried to think about what would apply to all of those categories. What was some health and fitness advice that could help everybody all the time? Is that even possible?
Right now?
Yeah. And that was the last piece on it. I said, how can it be accessible? Is it something that doesn't require equipment, super fancy knowledge to understand, to comprehend? How can we actually make sure that this is going to work for beginners and for the more advanced, experienced people?
Very well thought out.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, am I even qualified to answer this question? This is now a really big question. So I actually had a flash of inspiration, and I thought of a lesson that I received from this fantastic instructor and really motivational guy. His name is Greg Amundsen. He's pretty famous in the early days of CrossFit. And one of the things that he was really notable for was this attempted 100-mile run with only CrossFit for his training. And that's a specialty, not known for long-distance running. In fact, in preparation,
not at all.
Yeah, exactly. In preparation for this run effort, I think 100 miles, like 50 miles away from Camp Lejeune and then back in one effort, start to finish.
That's
like pretty wild, right?
That's wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
so famously, he prepares for this event with his CrossFit main, .com programming, as they called it at the time. I think he ran like a total of 2 miles in preparation in the 8 weeks prior to this run. And I'm listening really close to what this guy has to say because I think this is fantastic. He's a muscular guy. He's standing right in front of me at this event. He's normal looking, but he's obviously got this edge, and there's something else going on. And I learned more about him. I got to talk to him more. And ultimately, I ended up making my way back the second day of this event. He had a small little mini seminar. He was going to be the guest speaker for a few minutes. And so when it was his time to speak, he brought us together. He brought like about 30 people all into this small stage area. And he had us do this kind of this experiment together. And I actually want people to follow along if they're down for it. So this is what he told me. And I'm going to tell it to you now, kind of as my own advice, but I want to give him credit for it. Long story short, he's got us out there. We're standing together. And he tells us his number one piece of advice. His number one piece of advice is for us to be in this moment and to think about our most successful, happiest, best time of our life. Okay, we can think about that. Make it sensory rich. What did you see? What did you smell? What was going on? Why were you there? What's happening? All the things that really was making it the experience that it was.
Go back and connect.
Yeah, we're playing along. We're thinking of our own memories. He tells us these could be athletic victories, relationship milestones, whatever matters to you. But best if they're things you've earned, some kind of effort, some kind of selection, something that it's really a recognition of you and achievement. So we're tracking. We got this highly positive, emotionally charged moment right on the tip of our mind. And as we're listening, he instructs us to take that moment and everything we're thinking about and to couple it with a physical trigger in our body, either a position, a movement, something where we can make a connection between what we're doing in the moment and what we're imagining and thinking of right then.
Okay. So before you go farther, hold that thought. I'm going to ask, so explain. So if you mean like the happiest, best moment, but it had to be something earned and you have to make the trigger action, a movement, like a squat? Like a squat would be a triggering movement for this?
You could, yeah.
Or am I short-sighted?
That would work. That would work. But his advice
go ahead.
Was to make it a little more subtle, something that you could easily do without maybe people even being aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Subtle trigger.
Right.
Okay, better.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I copied him, and I do this to this day, a tight fist. I squeeze my left hand into the tightest fist that I can. And I even feel my fingernails like almost biting into the skin.
Yeah.
My forearm is working as hard as I can. This is max effort fist, right? Like I'm holding on to a briefcase with $10 million in it, right? That's my physical trigger. And I do this when I land on the top of a box jump. That's the highest I've ever done. I throw my arms up in a victorious salute. I squeeze my fist. My left fist is right there. I feel those fingernails and that work in my forearm. And I'm going to take that positive energy. I'm going to roll it into my next attempt. When I line up for that box jump, or this is what Greg said, when you're nervous for the job interview, when you're trying to do anything at these higher levels, activate your trigger, bring up that emotional state of all your prior successes, all that earned valuable recognition of your effort, and positively charge yourself as you go into that next attempt.
Okay. Did you do this before doing this podcast today?
Yeah, I use it all the time.
Did you do it really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It really does work, and it becomes more profound for the longer that you use it, which is part of why I bring it up right at the beginning. I want people to start, if they're really into it, if they're really being clever, they'll start this early, and they'll start building in the value and the power that your own physical trigger has for yourself, because you use it each time you prep for that box jump. You make it. You celebrate it, you reinforce that. And then when you are continuing to use that, it just builds on itself and it adds and adds to its own power.
This is your number one piece of health advice.
Yes.
This does not sound to me, and I'm not being critical here. You know me, Joey. I am fascinated with sometimes where your brain goes. And I think this is wonderful. This doesn't sound like health advice at all.
Oh, okay. Right on. Yeah.
But not negative. Mm-hmm. It's such a nice refresh to something here. Mm-hmm. I like where you put this, and I like how you did it. This is good. I might even adopt something like this myself, because it sounds like pretty good sound advice to do something like this. And here's maybe why I've been thinking now that you say this. Mm-hmm. How many negative triggers do we do to something? And then maybe I could share this story.
Oh, how interesting.
Bringing out names, these negative triggers, like facial expressions. When I tell some of my clients, there's certain moves that we do that are just to be honest, they're hard. Mm-hmm. And every client has these ones that I give them. Each client's different. And so I have these special moves for them that are especially hard for them. Right. And what I see a lot of times is their facial expression change, right? Yeah.
I thought this is where you're going.
Yeah, the wrinkle of the brow. And so there's these.
They got the exertion.
There's a negative trigger maybe going on. And I don't want to get too deep into this.
I actually love that this is where you're going with it.
Yeah. Because I'm sensing that maybe we could be doing a little bit better in triggering positivity, but there's still this focused on this, right? There's an action you're actually. Yeah. Again, almost you need to squeeze that fist.
Yeah.
And you need to build the ability to know why you're doing that, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like having that moment where you're the best time, the best thing, but you had to really work for it, and you really got it. And every time you do that, you squeeze your fist. Now, it could be a trigger. You say anything else, like something else.
Sure.
But the fist squeeze is actually pretty easy.
That was Greg's advice, and I ran
nobody's really gonna know.
Yeah, exactly. I was awarded my blue belt. It was a huge achievement for me, for martial arts improvement, and I was squeezing my fist. It looked celebratory.
I was there that day. I filmed you, and I knew when you went on the podium. Now that I think about it, you were squeezing your fist.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what you were doing.
It. That's it. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
It's a peek behind the curtain, and I wouldn't share it if it wasn't genuinely a big deal. So if you think about this from a health and fitness perspective, when you're going into the gym, this is really like the 30,000 foot top down view. If you're going into the gym and you have a mindset, which is that you're looking for opportunities to reinforce your positive mental trigger.
Yep.
That's a profoundly different outlook on what you're about to do than someone who's like, oh man, I have to do this, and all those negative sides of it. Instead, I go to the gym, I'm actively searching out supremely positive, fantastic experiences that I'm going to add into that trigger. I think that's a total swap from someone who's like, oh, I have to get through this. And I'm not trying to knock anyone's efforts. Sometimes that's where we start. We just got to get in. But when you're going into your workouts for the joy of achievement and you're feeling that success, like you're building your proficiency, getting that development, it's so profoundly rewarding. Pressuring all that, smashing it down, putting it into that fist trigger, and then bringing that back out when you're trying to set up for that job interview or you want to look really sharp one day. That's possible. And I think it's just such a different way to look at the way we work out.
Can we do this even on a small scale? Let's say, use a hypothetical name, Bob.
Okay.
Hey, Bob. If Bob, puts an extra 10 pounds on his chest press and does it an extra 2 reps more than he's ever done before, you're saying he can rack this thing, sit up, and then squeeze his fist in victory.
Absolutely.
It's that small of an effort to do, even with that little thing.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a grandiose event of change and effort.
Yeah.
It could be just as small as you actually ate healthy foods all day long. And you could give yourself a fist pump.
Exactly.
Squeeze fist, or whatever you're calling it.
Bingo. Yeah, you can use whatever you want. And I highly recommend that it does start small like that.
Okay.
But the first time, as Greg advised us, and maybe I can find a video, somebody can watch him do this because he does such a great job of sharing the message. But start with the memory of an experience of your own that's profoundly significant for you and hopefully focused around that achievement, something that you've earned.
Okay.
That's really the strongest seed. And then, it can absolutely be topped off by the victory of 2 additional reps on that Tuesday on the chest press. Okay. And then the next time you line up for the chest press and you feel like even a hint of a question about whether you can handle that much load, you're squeezing your fist. Yeah, tight around that bar or before you get ready to lift.
Bring back the memory of success, and your chances of succeeding again will probably increase.
Yep. And even if the increase, this is my final say on this, even if the increase is like so tiny, it's almost hard to measure. Well, it's still free for us to get. All you have to do is think, squeeze your fist, takes a quarter second. If that gives you a bump, I say you got to take that bump because it doesn't cost you anything to do it. And it gets more and more powerful. So that margin, that benefit that it gives you starts to grow. But the cost, what you have to put into it, does not.
Okay. Cool. I dig it, man. And I could go on for another 20 minutes on you right now because I've got so much to talk about. But let's just recap real quick.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Guys, Joey's number one piece of advice is this fist squeeze. And if you want to re-listen to this, please do, to get back into why he's saying what he's saying. Okay. Recap this yourself.
Yeah. Practice it.
Re-listen to just these segments. That's it. That's the recap. Go ahead and listen to it again, please, because there's pieces of advice here that are genuinely good. I like the fact that yours is not like mine at all.
Yeah. Bingo.
I love that, dude.
Yeah. Agreed.
Very genuine. Not what I would have expected from a health professional to say as the number one. He's going for the mind. I was going for action. We got there. Is there any more you want to add to this?
I think maybe these two put together are even going to be more powerful than themselves on their own. Because if you take small actions, couple it with your physical trigger, your mental state, you're powering yourself up. I mean, like that is so significant for really putting yourself off on the right path forward. And I can't think of a better way to start. If you're thinking about starting health and fitness, or if you're pushing up to a new level that you haven't achieved yet, I think this is a great way to start with it. And that can be long distance running goal. That could be recovery from postpartum. That could be building up muscle or losing fat. What we've talked about in this AB episode, it's universally applicable and beneficial for everybody. And you can start with it right now.
It is. I think you did actually cover all of humanity there, sir.
Cool. Right on.
I don't know how you did 8 billion people that way, but you, again, folks, that's why he's so smart. You want to take us out of here?
Doing our best. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening again. As always, hope you enjoy this one. Look forward to our next episodes. And until then, thanks for listening to another episode of Two Dumbbells and a Microphone.